All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening with this raging controversy, we're joined by Mr. Christopher Hale, who's a political analyst. He's worked for Presidents Obama and also Biden in the White House and was also on the campaign trail. Now, Mr. Hale, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on this broadcast. Now, the American president, especially his reputation, has got to be like that of a Caesar's wife. But the fact that Donald Trump is accepting a luxury jumbo jet that's being described as a palace in the sky, and also this $2 billion investment that's coming in from the United Arab Emirates into Donald Trump's cryptocurrency, and the fact that he's selling them all these weapons, what questions does it raise?
I mean, I think that the top concern is that we believe our foreign policy is for sale, plain and simple. Trump families leveraging U.S. foreign policy to benefit their private financial interests, including this crypto venture as you're referring to, backed by an authoritarian regime. It's not diplomacy, it's corruption. But look, I mean, we have members of both parties saying that you're cutting us out of the loop. Congress is being cut out of the loop. These arms deals bypass any congressional approval. It defied checks and balances. What is the point of having 535 members of Congress if they're not going to be involved? They've only passed 5 bills since Trump's been inaugurated, and they're being cut out of foreign policy. And I think that the biggest concern I have is it appears that we're selling weapons to fund war crimes. The UAE is arming Sudan's RSF military, militia, and they've been accused of ethnic cleansing. If we send more weapons, are we going to be more complicit in war crimes? So to me, it's not just a national policy dispute. It is actually a national security risk for the United States.
You know, but the United States as a policy is the biggest exporter of weapons, and it's not very clear, you know, how concerned the United States actually is about where the end use of these weapons are. But the bigger question is this, you know, Donald Trump is not able to draw a line between his private investments and his business interests from what he's doing as the president. What can the Congress do when there is such a clear, conflict of interest in what the American president is doing?
There's examples of this throughout in the history of foreign policy being rebuked and actually drawn back since President Nixon by congressional legislation. I think the 2 most noteworthy examples would be in recent history, Ronald Reagan. His policy in South Africa was more or less vetoed and repealed by congressional legislation. And then back in 2013, President Obama, in action in Syria, Congress took a role. And so I think that Congress has a role to take here. They have historically taken a role. But let's be real. Speaker Mike Johnson is less apt to do this. But I do think at some point that this is going to hurt Donald Trump's numbers, and there's going to be congressional oversight, or there's going to be political bloodshed at the polls. All
right, we'll have to see as to how the American public, of course, perceives all of these wheeling and dealing that Donald Trump is involved in. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Christopher Hale, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.